Following his father's retirement announcement, Cooler realized that in order to keep his personal operations ticking over without any halt, he would have to limit his visitations to the heart of the Empire to a bare minimum, as was necessary. I mean, to him it wasn't really that much of a big deal. He wasn't much of a frequent visitor to his father's estate anyway. But he knew that Frieza would take advantage of any opportunity to brag, and he hated that Cooler. And whilst Cooler would not be provoked, he really didn't want this annoying person anywhere near him, this spoiled snot, to ruin his carefully cultivated and meticulous planning, the image of a competent commander. Nah, he didn't want him undermining that. He was still thinking about forming his own special unit, which would make him less reliant on his father's, and eventually his brother's, Ginyu Force. He was also considering the size of the group. The Ginyu Force was quite effective with having 5 members, but Cooler was confident that he could be just as effective with 3 plus himself leading the charge. During his most recent return to Cold Planet 1, he decided to contact Captain Ginyu one more time to make sure that Lieutenant Salza was listening.
Prince Cooler, what a wonderful surprise. To whom do I owe this joy?
Captain Ginyu was polite and respectful as usual. Whilst the group's flamboyance could be a little, distracting, the prince always admired their leader's professional demeanor.
Greetings, Captain Ginyu. I am glad you responded so quickly to my call. I am considering something, a proposition for you, of assembling a squadron of elite soldiers who would report directly to me. I have 3 spots available, and I'm looking for a squad leader with some experience. Would you be interested?
Ginyu paused for a moment, and Cooler noticed the cogs turning in his head. He also cast a quick glance towards Salza, catching a glimpse of jealousy in his eyes. Ooh, that's good. This was precisely the point why he summoned Salza here.
Please, my lord, do not misunderstand me. This is indeed a huge honor to even be considered. But I hope you know that you can always count on my team for any impossible tasks that may befall you. They are well trained and are harmonious and are ready to go. If I were to leave them, I would perish the thought of what might happen to them.
Cooler gave Ginyu a pause, trying to appear disappointed.
Yes, I see. I wouldn't want to sever such a well-oiled machine, Captain. Well, Ginyu, I shall keep looking. Thank you for your response. Of course, my lord, the horned alien responded,
this prompting the prince to finish the call. He could hear his favorite Brentian breathe a silent sigh of relief.
The captain does not appear to be interested, Monsieur Cooler.
Oh, what a shame.
Guess it's just you and me, Salza. I will not fail you, my lord, the lieutenant said as he saluted.
Of course you won't. Would you actually, by the way, have any recommendations for the other 2 candidates?
How about Sergeant Doré, said Salza. He was quite helpful in our conquest of Beppo, wasn't he? He appears to have a favorable impression of you, Monsieur Cooler. I have seen him fight with my own eyes, and he is quite capable. He is a formidable brawler.
Cooler thought about this for a moment.
He is indeed quite brutish. We could use a muscle like himself to keep the group rather balanced.
Then we should maybe think of a speedster.
Perhaps someone like Bertha? He keeps bragging about being the fastest being in the universe. I have heard his claims and I'm not interested in them.
But in order to balance the squadron, we do need some velocity toward your finesse and Doré's strength. That is, if we are truly considering Doré. Cooler had to admit that the idea involving Doré did appeal to him, but he wanted to appear a bit coy. He was already quite self-assured, and it wouldn't take him much to earn his loyalty. The speedster, on the other hand, was a bit of a tricky proposition. So they looked towards certain species, like Zoltians, who lived on a water planet that he had been given as a child. However, he did want to see if Salza's mind would wander through the same paths as his, so it's almost like he's willing Salza to think on the same page as he. So yes, his main goal was to make his second-in-command feel more involved in the drafting process. Think independently, but also not. Nothing annoyed Cooler more than weakness or incompetence or dithering. Whilst his father was mostly concerned with financial matters, Cooler was well aware that the Empire needed to make more decisions on the battlefield directly, make its planet stronger. By culling the weak and recruiting the powerful, they were doing everyone a huge favor. Everyone benefited. They Cooler's army were a force of nature, the Great Filter. Harsh, but in the end fair. A lawful evil. That's why it was so important for Cooler and his soldiers to use their brains and to be in tip-top shape. Cooler, as he believed, was the only member of the family to even consider such a possibility of mutiny within their ranks directly aimed at the Empire. To him, it was quite likely that at some point it could happen, that the Cold family might encounter a notable resistance. His brother and father considered themselves to be near ultimate life forms, incapable of being undermined. But Cooler, who was slightly weaker at birth than either of them, would not allow overconfidence to cloud his judgment. After all, making the Empire stronger could cause a real challenge to emerge one day, and that wasn't discouraging him. Quite on the contrary. If he could overcome a powerful uprising before it even happened, it would make him an even mightier commander. His thoughts were then interrupted by the announcement of his pilot that they arrived on Cold Planet 1. As it was easy to predict, his welcome committee was his younger brother and a couple of guards.
Well, 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 look who decided to show up. I told Daddy that you would come crawling back as soon as you would have learnt about my great day.
Cooler just sighed. Are you done? I have places to be, Frieza.
Oh, now that you're done playing in some mud, you suddenly have things to do, don't you? You know, as the soon-to-be Emperor, I should make better use of your skills. Perhaps you can invade some planets for me. Menial tasks was always such a bother for me.
The younger of the two then yawned theatrically.
Okay, 2 things. First of all, you are not the Emperor yet. Secondly, do not think that Father will let you do everything that you please. Do not delude yourself. He is making you do his dirty work whilst he will watch safely from the shadows. Can't you see that? He is playing the both of us.
Frieza's expression changed to a slightly less pleased one.
Well, if that is the case,
The smile then returned to his face.
I will make you do mine. Isn't that fun?
Cooler really wanted to punch this little stinking snot in the face right now. But he was above such things as making a scene. That, and in terms of raw strength, he could actually be slightly stronger. Slightly. But did he really want to test that theory? So, he decided to ignore his brother's taunts and decided to move toward the Cold Force Recruitment Center. He wanted to access some personal files for his research. As he expected, when he got there, the Zoltians had some really impressive scores on speed training for the Force, particularly one called Corporal Nyes. He was noted to be slightly overconfident and loud-mouthed, but Cooler felt that he could temper that in time. And so, in the following months, he decided to call both Nyes and Dore to do some training at his own personal center. The pair of them were kind of overwhelmed by the invitation, whilst the Beppian felt like this was a dream come true. The Zoltian, well, Cooler could feel the fear in his beady eyes. Something wrong, Corporal?
No, my lord.
He lied, obviously. All right, let me explain to you why you are here. I need my own squadron. I needed to be competent and able to compete with the Ginyu Force. You lot were chosen because of your results and potential. I hope you realize what an honor that is.
Yes, of course.
Nyes was looking rather pale. But do not kid yourself. You are still years behind the Ginyu Force. To forge this squadron, I am going to put you all through hell. If you survive, you will be ready to serve me. You will become the best. And if not, well, that will mean that my faith in you was misplaced. Is that clear?
Clear, my lord.
And so the long training session began. Originally just in the training center, with blood, sweat, tears, and many bruises. But they were making progress, Cooler had to admit. But it wasn't enough. This standardized training facility... He decided that the better option for all of them would be to do all of this training on an abandoned planet called Prouts. It was in the same system as Planet Vegeta, making Cooler very much aware of all the recent successes of the Saiyans and how the transition between his father and Frieza had been going down. So it meant that he could train, but also keep an eye on the radio about what was going down. He did have to admit, Cooler, that the monkeys were actually doing a good job in his absence, and he was sure that there were voices going around saying that maybe they were nearly as effective as the prince himself. Cooler decided to ignore those notions. He didn't like the idea of being replaced. One day, he was contacted by his brother again, quite unexpectedly. What do you want? I'm busy with my squadron, Frieza.
Oh, brother, you don't want to miss this. I know that you are nearby. Don't think that you can hide from me. Please do come toward Planet Vegeta, but do not attempt to land there. It might get a little messy. I would hate for anything to happen to you.
Frieza grinned wickedly. What do you mean? Oh, of course. Are you going to blow up the planet?
Oh, don't make it sound so harsh, brother. No, there'll be a stray comet going through or something.
All right, but why? Are they rebellious at all? Perhaps I could give them a talking to? Cooler raised an eyebrow.
Well, aside from that one time when they tried to snipe myself and Daddy, no, but we never know.
Cooler quickly realized something was amiss. Something that he had heard in hushed tones from some of his soldiers. Oh, sure. Please don't tell me you're subscribing to that stupid Saiyan superstition, brother. Frieza's expression suddenly changed from incredibly snug to being annoyed and slightly defensive. Maybe even slightly fearful.
No. What are you talking about? I don't know such a thing.
Oh, that is precious! Powerful Lord Frieza afraid of some fairy tale about a Super Saiyan? Oh, it's truly hysterical, please.
I do not!
Then why are you wasting such a good resource?
That's none of your business!
And so Frieza angrily hung up on him. But still though, Cooler didn't mind. He was very satisfied. His brother's anguish tasted great to his ears. Not only that, but his personal squad was ready to go after months of intense training on Prouts. He was proud of them, of course, but he would never allow himself to show it too much. He needed them to be on their toes the entire time. So, gentlemen, do you want to go see some fireworks? As they arrived at the scene, they witnessed from afar a small uprising going down. Cooler was right. There was something going down. It seemed that Frieza hadn't been as subtle as he had hoped to be. As Frieza launched his death ball toward the planet, Dore broke to silence. That's the end of the Saiyans, huh? Looks pretty. Salva smiled slightly. Yes, that's just like Lord Frieza to... Wait, what's that capsule? Confirmation on the monitor! Nice turned around in his chair and aimed the sensors squarely at something quickly leaving the system. As it turned out, it was a capsule carrying a Saiyan baby. Well, if it isn't a little Saiyan brat trying to flee. Dore seemed amused.
He's heading for a planet called Earth, quite a distance from here.
Nice pointed at the star map on his display screen.
Shall I shoot it down, my lord?
Yes! Give the order! Salza almost actually got that through, but was interrupted by his commander. No, let it be. The armored squadron slowly looked at their leader, descending between them in a hover chair. This zone is entrusted to Frieza, is it not? He's planted this seed himself. Let him harvest it. We have 7 more worlds to conquer anyway. Our time is needed elsewhere. The 3 kneeled and nodded. Cooler then considered the thought for a moment. However, even though this is a baby, for him to even let one Saiyan go... If he was going to eradicate the Saiyans and take over this sector, he should be paying more attention. Right now, it's just a waste of our time and jeopardizing the operation thanks to his arrogant conceit. Frieza was always too soft. And with that, Cooler just gave Nyes the signal to leave, as the planet started to explode. His ship then left the system, as it was a meaningless routine that they had seen many times before. The destruction of worlds. So boring. And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now.